Hello, BookTube. Welcome to Lizzie Payne Loves Books. I'm Elizabeth, and it is Saturday, March 3rd, 2018. March Mystery Madness is well underway, and I am super excited about it. I have been looking for March Mystery Madness videos and watching people's TBRs and things like that, and this morning we had some reading sprints. I missed the majority of those this morning, but there were some on Friday night, or no, they were Thursday night. It was Thursday night. Yes, and I'm going to be leading some in the morning, bright and early. There's just something about Sunday morning, super early, that is always a good time for me to read. Now, it probably isn't going to work for anybody else, but I am going to be leading some reading sprints on Sunday mornings, very early for me throughout March, because we don't have to be at church until 9:30, and if I can get myself up and make some coffee and sit down and read, then I can get in, you know, a good 3 hours of reading before I need to even get ready for church or get the kids ready or anything like that. So anyway, so that is my plan, and if you are watching this video and it's already after Sunday morning, then join me next week. I would love that. So anyway, on to my February wrap up. I had a really good reading month, but unfortunately I didn't do what I said I was going to do. I said I was going to make the Sunshine State books a priority, and I did not do that to the extent that I needed to. I had 7 left to read going into February, and I only got 3 done. So that means I still have 4 left to read. And I found out yesterday when I was subbing at my daughter's former middle school that Book Bowl is Friday the 9th. And I am not ready. I am supposed to go through all the books and write down the food that the characters eat. And I'm done with about 9 or 10 of them, and there's 15 books. So I have to write down the food still for at least 2 that I've already read, and then the ones that I'm still finishing. So then I also promised that I would write some questions. And since, you know, I haven't volunteered to do that before, because prior to this year, the last 3 years, my daughter has participated in Book Bowl, and I didn't want to write questions and then, you know, I knew I wouldn't tell her the answers, but I knew that not everyone else would think that. So I did not even know what any of the questions were going to be going into Book Bowl the past 3 years. But this time, I don't have a kid involved, so I'm going to help out with that, and I think it'll be a lot of fun. However, I still got books to read, but let me tell you about the 3 that I just finished, and a couple of other books that I have finished since my last weekly wrap-up. I finished 5 books since I last did a wrap-up, and 3 of them were Sunshine State books, which means they're middle grade books. If you haven't heard me talk about the Sunshine State books, or if you're new to my channel, I've got a cat climbing right behind the camera, so if it shakes a little, if I try to get her down, then she'll cause a bigger ruckus, so let's just hope for the best. Anyway, the Sunshine State books are just what we refer to as the Sunshine State Young Reader Award finalists. There are 15 every school year, and they are chosen by basically the school librarians in Florida. Sorry, I'm going to have to get this cat down. Hang on just a second. This is Sweetie. She's the one who was behind the camera. Just a minute. Goodness, she doesn't necessarily like to be held. She will lay on my chest when I'm trying to go to sleep, and she will get in the way when there's things to be done. But she's not too bad of a cat. She likes attention. Katie doesn't like her though. Katie calls her Rat, and sometimes she is a little bit bratty, but she's a beautiful cat. We got her in Oklahoma one year. I guess it was 2012. I went home for my high school 30-year high school reunion, and Katie went with me, and one of the neighbors who had been my mom's neighbor, we went by her house because her daughter was also one of my classmates, and she had all these kittens running around. And so meanwhile, we found out that because we had a new kitten at home at the time, and it had disappeared, and I told Randy, who was at home, I said, if you don't find that kitten, I'm bringing home another one, because I'm not bringing Katie home. She was, you know, a lot younger then, so I'm not bringing Katie home crying because she's coming home to no kitten. We're going to bring a kitten with us, and that was Sweetie. Although, as it turns out, she's not a big fan of Sweetie. I don't know. I hear that calicos have an attitude, and we have 2 calicos, and I would have to say that there's some truth to that. Anyway, going back to my going back to my wrap up. The 3 Sunshine State books. I'm going to be doing a Sunshine State wrap up and a little more about these. So I'll just tell you really quick. The War That Saved My Life. This is a really a very popular middle grade book right now. It's a Newbery Honor book. It takes place in World War II. It was really fantastic. I've just really enjoyed it. It's very moving. It's tragic. It's sweet. It's just very good. So I would definitely recommend it. And then, and of course you can get the synopsis on Goodreads. So I won't go into that. Moving Target by Cristina Diaz-Gonzalez. This was not my favorite. This has been my least favorite so far. The premise was good, but it had kind of what Jen from Today in Jen's Library calls that special snowflake going on. The main character, she has this special birthmark, which means she's marked for, you know, this special ability and all that. And that in itself is not bad, except that the character herself was kind of obnoxious, and she didn't listen to authority. She was, you know, her father tried to say, you know, get down, you're in danger. And she gets out of the car and says, no, I'm not going to get down until you tell me what's wrong. Well, then she gets shot at, and her father gets shot because she was too bullheaded to not pay attention, you know. So anyway, I didn't like that one very much. I think there's a sequel coming out, and I think I read that may be the only 2 in the series. I might read it, but at this point, I doubt I will. I'm not that interested in what goes on from there. This was also fantastic. I related to this completely because this takes place in the 70s. I am maybe just a couple of years older than the main character in this book. It's called It Ain't So Awful Falafel by Firouzeh Dumas, and it is about a Iranian girl, and I apologize if I said Iranian last time. It is Iranian or Iran, because she even says it in the book that's how you pronounce it. And here comes Sweetie getting behind the camera again. Anyway, this book I thought was great. It is, it's about an Iranian girl and her family who live in the United States. They've been here a few years, and then the whole Iranian crisis hits with the hostages and everything, which, you know, happened in the late 70s and didn't end until 1980, I believe. And it was just really good. It's very well told. I just thought it was a fantastic story, and I could relate to it because it was from the 70s, although I never, you know, moved to another country in my adolescence, but I certainly could identify with the time period, and I thought it was great. Then the other 2 books I finished, one of them was a nonfiction book, Hallelujah Anyway by Anne Lamott. The subtitle says Rediscovering Mercy, and that is really what it was about just, you know, forgiving yourself, moving on past your mistakes, and a lot of good life lessons like that. And I thought it was very good. Now, I don't see eye to eye with everything that Anne Lamott believes or says, but I still thought it was a very important book with a powerful message. And then, if I can get my cat off of the last book, I read the most recent book from my favorite book series of all time. And I'm dropping things. They went in my journal. To Be Where You Are by Jan Karon is book 14 in her Mitford / Father Tim series, and I thought it was wonderful. Now, I was reading some of the reviews on Goodreads, and there were a few people who said, oh, well, I didn't like it because it kept changing perspectives, and, you know, in mid-chapter it would change who was talking and all that, and that is true. And on audio, you really do have to you have to listen and pay attention. And there were times when I had to rewind back because I would realize, oh, wait a minute, we've changed again. But that did not matter to me one bit. It just gave me more time in the story. I absolutely love the characters, the townspeople from Mitford, the main characters, Father Tim, Cynthia, and all of the others. I just love these books. If Mitford were a real place, I would seriously go there for a visit, and I would probably be really tempted to move there. So this was great. To Be Where You Are by Jan Karon. Okay, so those are the 5 that I finished during this past week leading up to February 28th, or I finished them, actually I finished most of them on February 28th. So just a quick wrap up. Let me get my journal, which fell on the floor when the cat was in here. So to sum everything up, I finished 18 books. One of those 18 I read twice. I listened to it fully on audio and I read it fully in print. So I guess you could say I finished 19 books. And that book that I read 2 times was a buddy read. It was Kitty Cornered by Bob Tarte, and I read it with Amber from Amber Eats Books, and we both really enjoyed it. Then I also participated in one readathon, which was the Romance Readers Readathon, hosted by Sarah from Not Just Romance Novels and Sissy from Romance Queen of BookTube. And they had 4 challenges, and I completed 3 of the 4 challenges. Of the 18 or 19 books, 13 of them were audio, and 2 of them I read on ebook, and then 4 of them, if you count Kitty Cornered, 4 of them I read out of a physical book. And then I had 1 book that I carried over into February, or into March, that I have not yet finished, and that is Stranger World by Jack Castle. I wasn't going to initially start this in February, but then Jack contacted me about the giveaway, and I actually just messaged him tonight to see if I could find out who won the giveaway. So if you're listening to this, if you're watching this and you are one of the winners, let me know. He's looking it up and he's going to get back to me, but I hope to be able to announce to you who the winners were of this giveaway. He was giving away 5 e-copies of Stranger World. So I kind of just sort of waited. I've only read this much of it, and then I kind of put it on hold because I wanted to be able to buddy read this possibly with whoever the winners are. So we can do that. I'm looking forward to it. And also, I just didn't have time to finish it. I had to get those Sunshine State books read, and I still have 4 left to read. These 4 right here, and I'm halfway well, not halfway, about halfway done with Girl Who Drank the Moon, and maybe a third done with the Nerdy Dozen. And I've still got Framed and Omega City still to read before Friday. So anyway, okay, so I read 4 nonfiction books. I already showed you Kitty Cornered. I also read on my Kindle one that was called Declutter for Good. It was a short little ebook, and I don't have a picture of it, but it was on here. Then on audio, I wish I had written down the narrator, but I didn't. The Atkins Essentials. It also had a variety of authors. It's published by Atkins Health and Medical Information Services, so there was a lot of people that contributed to that. And then the other nonfiction was Hallelujah Anyway, that I already showed you. Okay, so 4 nonfiction. Then the 3 romance books that I read for the readathon. One of them was a YA book. I read or listened to Alex and Eliza by Melissa de la Cruz. I thought this was really good. I have a couple of people have asked me about it, and I would recommend it. And I have not yet really gotten onto the Hamilton train, but now I'm interested. That book made me interested. It's kind of a Pride and Prejudice sort of a feel. And then I finally finished Love Finds You Under the Mistletoe. I had started it in January, opened it in December, started it in January, finished it in February finally. And it is a kind of a Christmas themed romance, 2 short stories. And it's going to fulfill one of my library challenges too that I have mentioned in a previous video about the library bingo that I've got to finish up by mid-March. Okay, so then I had 2 books that were mysteries or crime fiction. One cozy mystery. I read this. This has been on my radar for a long time. And when I saw that Courtney was reading it for her cozy mystery book club, I decided to go ahead and pick it up. I found the audio on Hoopla. I, again, did not think to write down the narrator. I will hopefully write down below the names of all these books, and also the ones I listen to on audio, I will write down the narrator. The author is Laurie Cass. It's the first book in the Bookmobile cat series, or bookmobile cat mystery series, and it was really cute. The cat was my favorite character for sure. And then, not a cozy mystery, and really not even a mystery, but definitely crime fiction, I read The Hour of the Hunter by J.A. Jance. This is the first in the Walker family series, and it was pretty gritty. The villain, I mentioned him in the March Mystery Madness tag, the villain was really vile and disgusting, and ugh. Then I had 6 middle grade books. I already showed you 3 of them. It was these 3, the Sunshine State books, and then the other 3, one of them I read, I listened to on audio on Hoopla. I was going to show you a picture. I had it ready here. It is the by Barbara Johnson. It's the second book in the Herdman series. It's probably too small to see it. The Best School Year Ever. What's that going to show? I don't know. Sorry. The Best School Year Ever. It was super cute and just really good. And speaking of super cute, I've already talked about this. I read The Mysterious Abductions, which is the first book in the Nocturnal series by Tracy Hecht. And I'll probably do a video on that since the author had asked me to read it. And then I reread the second Kingdom Keepers book, Disney at Dawn by Ridley Pearson. So those are my middle grade books. And then I had 3 books that were just general fiction, literary fiction. I already mentioned the Jan Karan book. In fact, I actually listened to it on CDs from the library. That is To Be Where You Are. And then for book club, I listened to Their Eyes Were Watching God by Zora Neale Hurston. And I've already talked about that. And then for the big read-along with Ange and Elena, I finished Lonesome Dove. We started this in January and finished it up in mid-February. And it was fantastic. I think this is probably my favorite read so far this year. It's an epic journey, and it was awesome. So, of course, I mean, there's a lot of tragedy, a lot of heartache, a lot of, you know, you have the good and the bad and the ugly, but it was just a fantastic book. I thought well deserving of the Pulitzer. So those are the books that I finished in February. 18 books, well 19 if you count the one I read twice. And that's it. That's all I wanted to tell you in this video. So for now, I will let you go. I will have probably another video tomorrow regarding something having to do with March Mystery Madness or something. So meanwhile, if you probably won't see this video till the sprints are done, which are early in the morning. But join me on Sunday mornings in March, super early. Now, if you go to church and you're in a different time zone and it's going to make you miss church, I don't want you to do that. But I'm also going to do some in the afternoon, 3 to 6 Eastern time. So whatever that works out to be in your time zone, and that time might be better on Sunday afternoons. So for now, that's all I have, and I hope you are having a great day, great evening, whatever time it is you're watching this. Read a good book, and God bless you.